somebody else. Hello, how are you? We're ready? Yes. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good to have y'all here tonight. We are going to talk about lifestyle eating. This is not a diet. It is weight loss by calorie counting, basically. So we have to realize that our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, right? We are one with the Holy Spirit that's within us. So our body is where the Holy Spirit lives. And just like we want to dress up the outside of the body to look the best we can, we need to be aware of what we're putting into our body so that the inside of our body is the best it can be as well. 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, "Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and you are not your own?" So we are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and we need to teach ourselves to treat our bodies as such. So let's pray, and then we'll get started. So thank you, Lord, that you love us just the way you are, but you love us too much to leave us as we are. You always give us the opportunity to better ourselves and to make good choices. So we're asking for your wisdom to know how to eat so that we're healthy and so that we enjoy our temple as much as you enjoy our company. We thank you for blessing us with your presence here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. And the choir bells go off. All right, I am not a nutritionist. I don't know it all. I'm just going to share my story because a number of people have asked me, how did you lose weight? So I lost around 18, 19 pounds, depending on which day, maybe up to 20 pounds. But it took me, there is one in the printer in my office. They're going to share, so that's good. Thank you. I'm sorry, Stacy. So I lost around 18, 19, 20 pounds. It took me from July to December. So it's not, you don't gain weight overnight, you don't lose weight overnight. It's a process. It's not an overnight miracle, although I have seen one of those. I was at church one night, and they were doing supernatural weight loss, and the lady beside me was jumping up and down and jumping up and down, and her pants were further and further out. She was just losing weight, jumping up and down. So God does that. We can do a supernatural miracle. You can ask for that, and that's the way to go. It's definitely the easiest way to do it. But for the majority of us, that doesn't happen. But because we eat food for comfort, we eat food to celebrate, we eat food just for survival. Some of us eat to survive, and some of us eat to live, and some of us live to eat. So it just depends on which one we are. And then we eat food just because it's good. We just like it. So there's a lot of reasons that we're eating, but sometimes probably we're not eating necessarily the foods we need to be, or the types of food, or eating more often or more than we should be. So what I do is it's a lifestyle. I don't call it a diet. I try not to say, well, that's not on my diet, because it's not a diet. It's a lifestyle. And I don't just quit eating everything. It's just a simple way to eat healthy. Simple is good. We need to simplify in everywhere that we can. And as a country, we kind of overeat. How many of you go to a restaurant and you order something, they say supersize? Do you want to supersize it? If you order a regular, we want to make that a large. Whether that 40 cents more to make it a large or however much, I don't know. I never make it a large. But you just added how many calories to that meal. So we can say no. And that's learning to say no. I don't want to supersize it. I don't want to make it big. Because part of it is how much you're eating. Chuck had a secretary in Jackson that I was talking to her one day about making something, and she was telling me what she made. And she said, well, yeah, but I call y'all the little people. Because, if I'm going to make this, there was 3 of them, 2 teenagers and her, but they were all adult size. She's like, I will make 2 boxes of this for the 3 of us to have one meal. And I would make 1 box and probably have leftovers with the 4 of us. And even today, still that, the 4 of us will split, like the chicken breasts are about the size of my hand. cut them in half, and that's our portion. We just aren't big eaters. We never have been, and it helps to eat smaller portions. And then another thing is we seldom have seconds, going back for seconds. And you need to give your body time to realize it's full. Because if you eat really quick, which, how many in the secular world, you have 30 minutes or something like that, you got to run out and grab something and eat it as fast as you can, so you don't realize how full you are. So give your body time to realize how full you are, because chances are you won't want the seconds at that point. So this is basically how it works. Determine the amount of calories you need per day. And your daily intake. I think I listed you 4 different websites, and I went to all 4 of them and put in my information. I think it asks for your age, male or female, height, and current weight. And then they were all a little bit different. Like Free Dieting said I need 1,377 calories to maintain. Calorie King said I needed between 1,400 and 1,600. Calculator.net said 1,357, and Mayo Clinic said 1,650. So that's a range of 1,350 to 1,650. That's a pretty good span. But basically I need like 1,350 to 1,600, which I generally stay on the 1,350 side, because that's what I went with when I started losing, and that's just kind of what I'm used to calculating without thinking about it. Now, some of these options on there may give you the option of putting in if you exercise. And if you're going to the gym 3 times a week and you are committed to it, or at one point I was doing Zumba, and Zumba, if you are doing it on the Wii, tells you how many calories you burn every time you do it. And so I had a high-intensity workout. It was an hour long, and it told me at the end I burned 580 calories. So that's a pretty good bit. For me, that's like almost half my day. That's what? That's a whole meal. At least a whole meal, or more than a whole meal for me generally. But unless you're really committed to doing it, don't put in that you're exercising, because that's what when I first calculated, I put in I was exercising, and so it had me eating like 1,800 and something calories a day, which is way more than I need. So I had to go back. I was like, this is not, something doesn't seem right here. I went back and recalculated without that. So if you're committed, you can include that, but I didn't. I just took it as a bonus if I worked out. Then to lose, we're just going to eat 100 calories less per day. That's really simple. So some of the things that we do that we don't do, that a lot of times happens, is, how many of you were ever told you have to clean your plate? So that mentality that it's on your plate, so you must eat it, or you put it on your plate, so you have to eat it. That mentality will have us eating food we don't want or we don't need. So we have to get past the starving children in Africa. Or China, yeah. I think it was Preston when he was probably 7, 8, something like that. I said something about, well, you need to eat because there's starving children in Africa, or wherever I said, and he's like, well, you can mail them my food then. So he might have had a good point. Don't eat it. So we do have to be, a little bit of waste down the garbage disposal is better than on my waste. So get beyond that thinking that I have to eat it. You don't have to eat it. If you don't like it, don't eat it. If I eat something, if I start to eat a cookie and I don't like it, I'm going to throw the cookie away and be okay with that. And people have said, "What? She won't eat that if she don't like it." And it's true, because why waste? I don't have that many calories. Why waste them on something I don't like and I'm not going to enjoy? So be okay with not liking it and not eating it. Remember, sauces and dips have calories too. And so a lot of times we don't think about that. Well, I'm eating a salad, but how much does that salad dressing have in calories? Or you eat a sandwich and they put all these mayonnaise and chipotle or whatever's on there. Everything has calories. We have to consider all of that. So as you're calculating it, remember to include that. Anything you're taking in counts. But don't deprive yourself. I think Jim said to you, are you going to be starving on this diet? No, don't starve, because that's not good either. But don't deprive yourself of all the things you love. You just have to learn to eat them in moderation. You have to learn to eat less and to watch your calories. Now, I've done the South Beach diet several years ago, where you just cut out all the sugars, all the carbs, everything all at one time. I did lose weight, but I felt terrible. I had no energy. I didn't feel good. And finally, I was just like, forget it. I can't do this. I need to have some energy here. And so I quit, and then I ended up putting peanut gallery being heard from up there. So I went, but then the thing is, I put back on everything I'd lost, plus some, because your body's just deprived of what it needs. Because in my opinion, again, I'm not a nutritionist. Miss Kathy is. She could tell you all these things. But God made fruits. He made vegetables. And I think we should be able to eat them in moderation, but they're good for us. And even the meats, but in moderation. Because when you feel really bad, you're not helping your body. And there are diets that there are other people in the church doing that will work if you're interested in some of those, but I think some of them are kind of complicated. I also don't need something that I have to have a book forever. So this is simple enough. You just really learn what the calories are per food that you generally eat a lot of, and you can kind of figure it out. And when you're doing some of those other things that are diets, like when I was doing South Beach, it's like I made this for them and this for me. So if you're in a household with other people, it can become complicated. You end up making 2 meals, or just about 2 meals, and that's not fun either. All right, so don't deprive yourself, just eat in moderation. Weigh daily. Okay, now I know this is probably way against Weight Watchers or some of those other places that do once a month. But for me personally, I don't want to wait a month and find out I've put 10 pounds back on and then have a challenge on my hand. I just keep up. I weigh every day. I still weigh every day. And it keeps me right within my weight that I just set. I just picked a number that I thought would be about right. When I reach that, that's what I maintain. So I would say invest in a scale if you don't have one. And what I did is I recorded my weight every day. And my journal just happened to be Journal for the Heart, which it is healthy for your heart to eat right. And I weighed when I began my journey and wrote it in. And then I would, not every day I would write it down, but throughout the months I would write it down so that I could see in writing what my weight loss was. And so it makes a big difference to me, and this is what I did, you don't have to be able to see it in writing and write it in here, because I did this by myself. I started out, my sister-in-law introduced me to this, and she was going to be my partner, and then about a month later she quit. So I was doing this on my own, and Chuck was complimentary, so that helps, but he wasn't necessarily doing it with me fully. So this was my friend, and it can become your enemy, because the next step is to write down everything that you eat, which means if you eat it, if it goes in your mouth, it goes on your journal, which will help you not eat 10 cookies or a whole bag of chips. Yes.
I was just going to say a suggestion. There's an app called MyFitnessPal.
Yes, MyFitnessPal.
And it even scans things. I mean, that's another awesome way to
Yes.
keep up. Yeah.
That's one of the ones that's on your list, I think somewhere down there is MyFitnessPal.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes, it'll do more than I used it for. I just kept this in the drawer in the kitchen. Yeah, it does allow, if you exercise, it does a lot of things, and it pulls up all the restaurants for you. It does all that. I did it the old-fashioned way. I added it up as I went. and kept up with it that way. But if you will write it down, which if you've been in any of my classes, you've heard that over and over and over. Write it down. It's just like when you have a dream, write it down. It's going to help you to know. It's also going to show you what you're eating that you don't even realize it. Like a day or two or somewhere right before I started journaling and really trying to lose, I was at McDonald's. I'm thinking, well, I'm going to eat a wrap because I'm thinking a wrap shouldn't have many calories. That should be healthy. Well, the Angus mushroom and Swiss wrap has 420 calories for a little wrap. And they're like small, so I did two. I'm thinking, I'm being healthy here. I'm eating wraps. No, that was like 840 calories. It's like, wow. So just because you think it's healthy, it's not. Now, McDonald's does have a bacon ranch grilled chicken salad that's pretty good, and it's only 230 calories with no dressing. Now, if you add the dressing, I don't remember. I didn't look up the calories on their dressing, but a lot of calories can have up to like 300, 350. I mean, a lot of dressings can have. That little packet will have like up to 350 calories in it. So another thing I do is I dip it. I'll put it in a bowl on the side and dip it instead of pouring it on there. Because you get the flavor that way without all of those calories. Don't forget about your drinks. If you're drinking a McDonald's large sweet tea, which I know some of you in this room do, what? That sweet tea has 220 calories. No, that is a large. 220 is the large. At least that's what I looked up. So that's like my whole breakfast calories. That's my coffee, my breakfast bar, everything. So that one drink is a lot. Because a lot of times for breakfast, I'm going to do like a 90-calorie breakfast bar. And I don't get into, and Kathy, being a nutritionist, would know a whole lot more about all the fats and all that stuff, because I just kind of stay away from junk food. If you eat more vegetables and more fruits and a little bit of meat, you should be safe there. Yeah. If you put creamer in your coffee, don't forget to add those. One girl I was working, knew this girl, and she's like, I'm doing so good. She was doing Weight Watchers and not counting coffee's no points or whatever she said, till she realized she's putting cream and sugar in there, and it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute, that changes things, because you're drinking how many cups per day? So don't forget the calories that you put in your coffee. And I do use stevia because it's a natural sweetener. I can't tell a taste difference. Some people are pickier and can, but, and you do get used to it, yeah. And Walmart has put out their version now, which to me tastes the same. Yeah, it's all the same thing. So I do recommend using stevia. Some lower calorie snacks, like applesauce, you can get these little cups for they're 50 calories, and it's about the right amount to have a snack. Or, do y'all shop at Aldi? Aldi is a great place for some of these things. This is like Jell-O and peaches. I think it's 50 calories. And this is not a healthy snack, but it's convenient. Just stick one in your purse. It's just the cracker sticks and cheese, but these come from Dollar Tree, and they're 70 calories. And I think the pretzel ones are like 50 calories. It's probably high. Yeah, I can't really see that little writing in there. Yes. Which you want to drink a lot of water. Alkaline-free water is that right? The alkaline? Low alkaline, not free. Low alkaline is the best. You can get that at the water store in town here, if you're interested in that. High alkaline, okay, is that what it is? I said it backwards? Yes, there we go. Low acid, high alkaline. I was thinking, did I say that right? Yes. Yeah. But a lot of water. Drink a lot of water. And a lot of times, drinking water at restaurants can save you money, but it's also better for you. Drink a lot of water. just snack stuff. I do the veggie straws some. You can do nuts. There are some ice cream bars that are low calorie, or like, because I love ice cream. I don't want to just give up ice cream. McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, I think they're just like 140 for a small cone, 140 calories. So if I haven't eaten much meal-wise, then I'll do that sometimes. The Healthy Choice bread, it's regular bread. It's not the little thin, small diet bread. It's just regular size, and it's 35 calories a slice instead of like 80.
That Healthy Life also has omegas in some of which are always a pretty hard.
And they also make hamburger buns and hot dog buns and stuff. So it's cost a little more, but I don't eat that much bread, so it's worth it for me.
Have you ever tried those sandwich thins?
Yes, the sandwich thins,
They're real good.
they are good. You do have to watch on them though, because some of them will be higher calorie than others, but those are good.
Some have more sugar too.
Yeah, but they do make a whole wheat one that's like 100 calories for the whole thing. Yeah. Brown rice, and rice is just high calorie, but brown is like half the calories of white rice. Sweet potato versus a white potato. Sweet potato is like 118 calories. A white potato is 220.
There's a lot more fiber in a sweet potato than there is in a just regular potato.
And a white potato has a lot of sugar. Doesn't it come down to like, I forget what it says, like 2 tablespoons of, it's like eating 2 tablespoons of pure sugar or something. That's why it's so good. Eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, and I do still eat a baked potato from time to time, but I just don't do it a lot. Fish is pretty low calorie, and chicken is, I use the spray butter because it's no calorie. And then breakfast bars, I do those a lot, and that's convenient for me because I'm usually eating on my way to work. And drink lots of water. Lots and lots of water. But check your labels, because things you may think it's low calorie when it's not. Do y'all eat Pop-Tarts? No, I don't blame you. Because this is one of those things where it's like, it's 200 calories, but they put 2 in a bag, and that's only for one of them. So if you eat a whole thing of it, you've eaten 400 calories. Are these little things? Yeah, I'm sure it's like 660 milligrams of sodium. And then it comes out to be, like this little bit of stuff, which is, I forgot, like 260 calories. But there's 2 servings in here. So, and I was asking Michaela, because she'll eat one of those for lunch every now and then, and she's like, well, I don't think half of that would fill me up. Of course, at 16, she's not worried about it. But do have to consider the number of servings. This is one of the things that Aldi carries, and it's a Fit and Active popcorn. It's kind of confusing to me on their label because it has serving size is 2 tablespoons, but that's unpopped. No, I'm not sure who's going to eat the unpopped kernels, especially 2 tablespoons worth. But so it has the unpopped, and then it has the popped. And so a cup of popped is 20 calories. And it says there's 2.5 servings per bag, but 4.5 cups. So I'm not sure their math, but, and I'm not good at math, so maybe, but I'm guessing because most of us are going to eat it popped, if you eat a whole bag of it, even if it is 4.5 cups, that's only going to be like 100 calories a bag. I'm not sure why you would put unpopped calories. But evidently you lose a lot of them when it pops. It just pops them right off.
Just a little advice. Popcorn is really, really, really high And
Yeah.
diabetics should stay away from it.
Well, it's all carb.
It's all
Yeah.
carbs, yeah.
Because it's corn.
The fat you put on it.
But I don't.
Yeah. Put seasonings and don't put butter on there.
But if you're on a snack, it's really a healthy snack.
Yeah.
If you're not a diabetic.
Yeah, if you're not
You can
diabetic, it's
add
healthy.
coffee and, season it with all different kinds of
Mhm.
ways.
I do. I have popcorn seasoning, like ranch flavored or white cheddar, or actually they make a spray butter that's no calorie. It's probably not real healthy, but it's a snack. It's not something I'm going to eat every day, all day long. These are just some options to have a quick snack. And I don't use coconut oil because I don't like coconut. I've heard that, but I've never tried it. What I generally use is olive oil, and if it calls for oil in the pan, like baking something, just to make sure it doesn't stick, I just use water. I just put plain water in there. So I very seldom, hardly ever use oil, and I hardly ever fry anything. Maybe once every 6 months. Deer meat is generally what I fry, which deer meat's very lean if anybody eats deer, and it's
And you're not
good.
using the spray to coat a pan, you're not getting very many calories.
No, this has no calories. I don't think.
If you put enough of it, it would, but.
Yeah, just to spray it, you're not. So it's low calorie and it works. So be careful of the labels. There's some sneaky ways that they'll make you think you're eating less than you are. All right, eating out. This becomes a challenge because we're a country that eats out. This is where myfitnesspal.com came in really helpful for me, because you can pull up any restaurant that's a big chain and it'll pull up their menu and tell you exactly what the calories are. And if you're going somewhere local that doesn't have a chain restaurant, you just kind of pick something comparable from a bigger restaurant, and you'll get the idea. And I would recommend looking it up before you go out and eat. I mean, usually you know where you're going. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes we're trying to decide on our way to wherever we're going. But usually if you know, because you're going to, at least with me, it was harder when I'm sitting there in the restaurant trying to pull it up on my phone, and the waitress is coming by, are you ready to order yet? And people are talking and there's stuff going on. It's just easier if you can do it ahead of time. And don't think just because you're ordering a salad that you're eating low calorie. Because I thought that too. Oh, well, because the California grilled chicken salad at O'Charlie's is really good. When I looked it up, it's 668 calories with the balsamic dressing, but I like ranch dressing with it. So then you probably make it around 800 calories. The Cobb salad is 1,150 calories. And that's a salad. And that's like almost my whole day. So eat half of it, which I usually do because their salads are huge, which is another problem in America is we have huge portions. And then we, starving children in Africa, we have to eat it all. So some places now have started posting what their calorie count is, like McDonald's has it right on the sign. But if you're not used to that and you're trying to figure it all out, just go inside and don't hold up the drive-through line. But it does make it really convenient to have that there. But on theirs you'll see it's from this calorie to this. So it depends on exactly what you get and how much of it. So there can be a pretty good size span there. But don't. Yes.
Ask for a box or take one, bring one with you,
Mm-hmm.
and take it off your plate before you start on it.
There you go.
Because once I start on it, it's mine. If I can't see it, I don't eat it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So take it off the plate and put it in a to-go box before you ever start.
When you order,
Yeah.
ask them, when you bring my meal, bring me a takeout box
That's good.
also, and then just divide it up, put it in the takeout.
So you order your meal, you order a to-go box, and you divide it up before you ever start, which works great. Or with me, if Michaela's with me, we'd like the same thing. We just share a meal.
Yeah, Kenneth and I will share it like plenty of times. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
And you eat less. We do that all the
Yeah,
time.
we a lot of the times will share a plate. Or I'll also kind of gotten into this thing of thinking Michaela wants the leftovers, so we take her something home. But yeah, that's a great idea, just to put it in the box before you ever start. Or if you can, sometimes you can order a half portion. You can do it that way. Some places will let you order off the child's menu, regardless of age. They don't have an age limit. Some places are very strict about 12 and under. So it is. It's fried chicken. Yeah, everything's fried. And French fries and macaroni and cheese. Yeah. Yeah. So, but don't forget, if you eat out and you're keeping up with it that day, you got to write it down. So eating out counts too. Get an eating schedule. Set an eating schedule. When you eat in small amounts, then your metabolism is boosted. So the higher your metabolism, the easier it is to lose weight. Which is why Michaela is 16 and doing like 2 dance classes a week and working 3 or 4 nights a week. And she can eat anything and it doesn't matter. But most of us don't fall into that category. So, and you try to break it up, or at least I do. I generally, because I'm going to have coffee with lots of creamer in it. And so I'm going to count that in the mornings as that's probably, I probably have more calories in my coffee than I do in my breakfast. So don't forget to include your creamer calories. But I eat about 250 calories for breakfast, maybe 300 or so for lunch. I'm generally eating here at the office while I'm working, which I know is not the healthiest thing. They say get away from your desk, and I try to eat in the foyer sometimes. But I'm generally eating a salad with some stuff on it. Like, if you can handle tuna just straight out of the can, it's only like 50 calories for a can of tuna. Some folks I know can't handle that. Yeah, because lettuce has almost no calories. If you cook your own chicken and you're not putting a lot of oils on it, then chicken is pretty low calorie. So a lot of times I'll bring whatever meat that's left from dinner the night before and add it to my salad. And then I'll have, so about somewhere around 300 calories for lunch, depending on what I'm doing that day. Probably 500 to 700 for dinner and about 140 for snacks. And what I have found is I can eat less calories in a day, but get off of my schedule and only eat a couple of big meals and actually gain. Because your body's going, wait a minute, you're supposed to be eating 6 times a day. Because I end up eating breakfast, a snack, lunch, a snack, dinner, and then possibly another snack. And so when my body is used to that, and my body clock goes, it's 6 o'clock, it's time for dinner. Whether I know what time it is or not, and I do set, and I know people have, especially my kids, have made fun of me for setting alarms in my phone, but I set alarms in my phone to have snacks each day so I remember to eat. Because a lot of times I don't think about it. I'm not really hungry. I'm busy, and so, but I'll stop and eat that little bowl of applesauce or something and keep going, and it helps. It keeps because I'm eating a little bit at a time more often. I think it's weight lifters or eat like 8 or 10 times a day. Yeah, because so you need to eat a little more. And then I try not to eat much of anything after 8 o'clock or so, because late night eating is not real good. Not everything looks better in the morning after you're sleeping on it. Some things just don't look better. But your phone is a great way to set a reminder to eat. And probably most of us are on schedules. You eat about the same time for your main meals. And because your body will go into starvation mode when you're eating hardly anything. So I know a couple people are like, well, I just eat 1 meal a day and I'm not eating hardly anything. But that's not healthy for you, because your body then is going to hold everything you do eat instead of processing it like it's supposed to. You've got to eat on a regular basis. Again, if you don't like it, don't eat it. Stop when you're full. And it takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to realize it's full. So when we eat really fast, when we first got married, Chuck he could eat a whole meal in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I was like, you know, it took me an hour to cook that. The least you could do is take 10 minutes to eat it. But it is really better for us to eat slower. So so that because you know that feeling you get when you eat a whole bunch really fast and then all of a sudden it's like, ugh, I feel terrible because you ate too much, but your body didn't have time to tell you yet. So eat it slower. Then have an accountability partner or somebody, several people, that really does help. It's hard to do this by yourself. It was hard for me, but I stuck with it. And you're going to have challenges. Part of my challenges, my children love chocolate chip cookies. And Chuck. And so we buy the tub of chocolate chip cookie dough from Sam's. And when Preston was still living at home, just about every night or every day, he made chocolate chip cookies. And it was always, "You want some, Mom?" "No, thank you." And they were like, "Oh, just eat one. One isn't going to hurt you." Like, no. So you got to learn to be disciplined. You learn to say no, even when your kids are trying to get you to eat it. It is. They're sitting them right there beside you, or, "Mom, go check the cookies. Mom, get the cookies out."
Or if you do, count it.
If you do eat it, you count it, yes, because I don't know, one of those little cookies is probably more calories than we want to know.
I thought it was funny that the Girl Scouts, they always start selling cookies after the New Year, and I thought, that's when everybody starts on this diet, and then the Girl Scouts start selling.
And the Girl Scouts. And I'm sure their cookies have plenty of calories.
Samoas are like, whoa, it's like 80 calories per cookie.
80 calories per cookie in the Samoa, and they're only like what?
Yeah.
They're little cookies. Yeah, 2 bites and it's gone. That's a lot. So, I mean, if that's what you want and you're willing to give up those calories, I wouldn't make a habit of every day, but you can do that. But it's easier, like if you're going to do it together and you're married, it's easier than when you have kids every day trying to get you to eat chocolate chip cookies. So have a cheat day. And when I first started, not a day. When I first started, I called my sister and I'm like, "So do you have what day do you use like your cheat day?" And she's like, "Cheat day? You don't get a cheat day. We do this all the day." I'm like, wait a minute. No, there's got to be. There's no way. So I just assign myself a cheat day, and generally that's either going to be a Sunday or a Friday. Sunday because usually we go out or people come over or whatever, and they bring a lot of good stuff, so it's really hard. I mean, I have made my salad and eat what I needed to and have everybody else eating whatever around me, but that's not the best fun. It's more fun to eat that good stuff they bring. So, and you will get discouraged if you don't just have a day where you just don't care. So our Friday nights, y'all see me at Simple Church, then I'll eat a lot of stuff I don't normally eat. So set your cheat day, one day, and I don't write anything down for that day. And then eventually, when you get to the point where you've reached your goal, and I would set a goal of what you want to lose, and then weigh. And I did bring my scales if anybody wants to weigh tonight and see where you're starting and where you want to go. So set that goal and weigh so that you know what you're doing, so that you know where you're headed. So,
Tricia, would you like summarize, just kind of say this is what it is, kind of summarize it all in one paragraph?
So it's basically keeping up with what you eat and staying within the calorie intake that is recommended for you than eating 100 calories a day less. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, so learn what foods have what calorie count. You're going to do that as you eat because, like Preston says, I have a perpetual supply of grapes. So we always have grapes in the refrigerator. But they're only like 3 calories a grape. So, you can eat 15 grapes, that's 45 calories, that's a healthy snack. So you'll learn that. You'll learn what has what calorie. And what I did was things I ate all the time, I would just write it out on my little cheat sheet, and that way I knew. Because everybody has things we all have things we eat a lot of on a regular basis. Now, when you eat casseroles or soups and that kind of stuff where you got a bunch of different ingredients, the ones I use the most, I would take like everything, and like Aldi again has the Fit and Active soups. So these are 60 calories, I think, per serving. Well, if you put that into a big pot of soup, I would just, everything I put in there, I counted the calories for, figure out how many servings it is and divide it out, and then you know how many calories per serving it is on something that you eat a lot of. So, but Aldi has this Fit and Active line of stuff, and it's good, and it's low calorie, like their ranch, the light ranch, the fat-free, is taste-free. It's not so good, but the light is really good, and it's like 80 calories, I think. But 2 tablespoons. No, that's for 2 tablespoons, I think. And but that's actually a lot of dressing. I probably don't use anywhere near 2 tablespoons of dressing. Now, coffee creamer, I do use 2 tablespoons of coffee creamer, but I like my coffee tasty and sweet. So you'll learn what kind of you eat the most of that has that. Calorie counting books. I think I picked up these at, one of them was like Goodwill. One of them might have been a yard sale. Or they might have both come from Goodwill. But it lists pretty much every food you can think of.
Yeah, and you can go online too.
You can.
And there's an app now you can get for your phone. It's the Eat This, Not That app.
Eat this, not that out.
For different restaurants and stuff.
Yeah, now this wasn't for restaurants. This is just foods.
Yeah.
So if you're eating pasta, then you can tell it what kind, and it'll tell you how many calories. And it breaks it down into all your other fiber and carbs and all that as well. So these are just, I kept one in the kitchen, quick reference.
You also pull off the diabetic exchange list.
Diabetic exchange list.
And it would basically divide, on things like fruits, meats, dairy and carbohydrates, and then it would kind of give you a total, like, say this portion of this food would equal this much carbohydrate and calories. And it just kind of keeps you from having to get so much different,
Yeah.
or so many different places. I mean, having to go through the whole book.
Yeah. It's a quicker way to do it. I just did my book. And sometimes I would do, depending on where I was. Even just like when you're doing lunch meats and stuff, they're going to put this stuff out that tells you. So, because if you're at the grocery store, for me, my phone would be so slow in the grocery store, I would get frustrated trying to pull something up. So, those kind of things.
That has a low sodium, a couple of low sodium meats in the force everything.
It does. It lists kind of all their stuff and what it has. And I always also used this little scale because when it said eat 4 ounces of meat, I had no idea how much that is. So it's less than we probably think. Yeah, it's not very much. But I actually bought this at Aldi too. It was like $10. So I used it a few times, really. I really only used it a few times until I kind of got an idea, and then I didn't need it after that.
Probably what's most surprising probably to people is like, any kind of, think about rice, pasta, we're talking a half cup per serving.
Yes.
So, a half cup is not really very much compared to what you normally would think of
Yeah.
in a restaurant.
Because we're used to big servings. So we end up eating a lot more than we probably should. But myfitnesspal.com will help with a lot of those things.
Did you find also though, and this happened to me when I was on the diet before, after you stop eating so much food, you get full. Now it's like if you
Yes.
eat too much, you know right away you've eaten too much.
Uh-huh.
It's like, this is too much food.
Yes, your stomach
Your stomach
shrinks
starts shrinking.
and you don't want as much anymore. So it does, for the first few days you might be hungry. And if I was hungry, I would eat something really low calorie, some fruit or something. But your stomach does shrink and you eat less. And you get used to eating that way. So you're not thinking, I'm hungry all the time. And you also, for me, if I overeat, it's like, I really can tell I've overeaten. So I really try not to do that. Because if you that's how one of the things that causes us to gain weight is we're perpetually overeating. You're stretching your stomach to where you can hold more. So we don't need to eat that much. So your own list of things that you eat often will become your quick reference guide. You have all kinds of websites that will tell you everything you need to know. And then the scales for food is something you can use. Okay, last thing, breathing. You're going, what in the world does this mean? You do breathe, right? Okay, breathing to lose weight is free, it's relaxing, it's easy, and it works well. So think about it. Take a deep breath, and I want you to think about where your breath comes down into. So take a deep breath and feel how far your lungs are expanding. You should feel your lungs right behind your belly button if you're getting a full breath. Because what happens is that we tend to breathe chest breathing, really shallow breathing. We use like half of our lung, not even a half, like a fifth of our lung capacity when we breathe. So, How to Jumpstart Your Metabolism by Pam Grout. In this book, she says, one of the main reasons exercise burns fat is because it increases the rate of oxygen that is delivered to your cells. When you run, for example, you increase your oxygen intake from 7 or 8 liters per minute to 34 or more liters per minute. Consequently, your body has oxygen to attend to all its energy needs. If your body has accumulated excess fat, that means your body doesn't have the oxygen or the energy it needs to process the food you're taking in. And when you don't get enough oxygen, you literally strangle your cells. It's like putting a noose around their necks, making it very difficult for them to do their jobs. As hard as they might try, they can't process food properly. They get bogged down, filled with sludge, and you consequently run out of energy. You literally work at 1/5 of your potential when you don't get enough oxygen. Your body slows down, gains weight, and becomes even more stubborn about changing. And she says the startling fact is that 90% of us practice futile breathing. And when I learned about this a couple of years ago, I realized that we really do that. We don't really breathe deep. And so Chuck and I were doing some meditation stuff, and in that he says breathe deep and even. And during that time, Chuck lost like 10 pounds just because he was breathing deep and even every day or 5 days a week or so for like 45 minutes a day. So it makes a difference when you breathe because your body needs that oxygen to lose the weight. And so when you really combine meditation with deep breathing, you'll get the benefit without even realizing it. But it really should become a way of life for us. We really should be breathing with our whole capacity. And I don't remember the gallons, but your lungs should hold like 2.5 gallons of air or something like that. It's a lot, but it's taking the time to learn to deep breathe. And we all do that cleansing breath from time to time. You know, we'll do that big deep breath, but it's doing it on a regular basis. If you're having trouble sleeping, it'll help you go to sleep. Breathe deep. Making it a habit so that you're doing it all the time is going to really benefit you. I think Jim Richards says he breathes so deep and so slow, he breathes like 4, I think, times a minute. He took us, one of the things I was listening to, he took us to an exercise of breathing 10 times in and out. And I think I drove all the way from my house to here before we breathed 10 times. It's like, and I feel like, breathe. I can't do this. So, but that just shows the capacity that our body has that we're not taking advantage of.
If you take a deep breath and pay attention to how your body feels, you will feel a tingling all over your extremities. I mean, a deep breath, and it kind of warms you. And it really is awesome. I had to do breathing exercises when I studied music.
Yeah.
I had to pop a book like off my belly, laying on the floor.
Yes.
And it had to land on the floor open. So you really learn how to breathe. But it makes
Well,
the difference?
okay, oh no, we're running out of time. One more action. I told you about an hour, but we were late getting started. So, one more thing. If you take another deep breath in and take notice, is your stomach expanding? Is it going in or out? Which way does it go? And then when you exhale, which way is it going? Because it should be that when you inhale, your stomach goes out. When you exhale, it goes in. And when you're in band class, you realize how many people breathe backwards. Or we hold that, we don't let it expand. So you should be expanding and collapsing. So taking those deep breaths so that you do that. And that's one thing she says in the book in her book is to lay down, and you should be able to see that book rising and falling. I have not read the whole book. Chuck did. Her name is Pam Grout, Grout, and it's How to Jumpstart Your Metabolism.
One of the most interesting books.
I don't know if she's a Christian writer or not. I don't think so, but
Just really,
from a scientific point of view.
really interesting material. She lost weight. She lost 10 pounds in 1 month just by doing breathing exercises, and she didn't know. She was doing the breathing exercises for her own benefit, and at the end of the month, she realized she lost 10 pounds, and she's trying to figure out what it was, and it was because of breathing. So it was by accident. No exercise, just breathing.
So if you're eating right, breathing right, and exercising, we should be doing good. But so yeah, it's a win-win combination. So don't forget to breathe.
I learned a tip, if you do exercise, which everybody should exercise, is just walking. If you will do spurts of, say you're a walker, and all you do is walk. If you will do a fast walk, say like you do a walk for 45 seconds, and then for 15 seconds you fast walk, and then you go and slow walk for, they said if you speed up and slow down and speed up and slow down, your metabolism will keep burning at that rate for 36 hours.
That's great.
Because you're tricking your body into working faster, because you're going up and then slowing down.
So you walk for 45 seconds and then you speed walk for 15. And you do that through however long you're walking, and it'll maintain that metabolism for 36 hours. Any kind of exercise, yeah.
Kath was using an example of he was on the elliptical, and they were telling him, when it gets to 45 seconds, you speed up.
Yeah.
Go for 15 seconds, and then you slow down and go back to your regular pace. He said it will keep, and it works. I've tried it.
Yeah.
It works.
So that's a pretty easy way to lose. I know some of the other things I've seen some people do is like just high intensity exercise for like 7 minutes.
You only have a short time to do these exercises. Everybody's busy now.
Yeah,
Time
everybody's
to
busy.
do, excuses, I don't have time, I don't have 30 minutes. But if you have just 20 minutes and you do that, then you're gonna burn more in that 20 minutes.
Yeah, so it's taking that time. And most of us take that time to watch TV or be on Facebook or something. So it's not a matter of I don't have time. We all have the same amount of time. It's I don't, yeah, where's your priority? So, which that is the next thing I was going to say. We do need to have regularly scheduled exercise as much as you can. And so Jessica will start the exercise class next Tuesday, and they'll be here, and I was hoping she'd be here tonight to tell you a little more about it, but my understanding is it's mostly aerobics type class that you'll just do exercise. Now she's a fitness trainer, that's what she does as a profession. So she's in the gym training with weights all the time or whatever she does, but you won't have weights.
Just your own.
Just your own, yeah. So that's basically my story. That's what I did. I know there's like tons of information on fats and carbs and all that stuff out there that I didn't touch on that I'm sure Kathy knows about as a nutritionist. But I really didn't get too concerned about all that just because I generally eat a lot of vegetables and fruits and not a lot of meat anyway. So I didn't have to worry about it a whole lot. So who in here is willing if you don't have a spouse that's going to do this, is there some people that would be willing to partner up and say, we'll be accountable to each other, we'll help each other out? Is it everybody in the class, you want to meet it again later without me? Or because it's going to be easier if you have somebody helping you do this. Until you get used to it. Once you get used to it, I don't have to think too much about it anymore. And I know, like in my family, my dad had high cholesterol, my mom did, all this stuff, and they were just like, well, it runs in the family. I was like, no, it's not going to run to me. No, I don't have to have that. And really it comes down to, being raised eating everything fried, and if it wasn't fried, if it was a vegetable, it has a big blob of bacon grease in it. Or butter. Yeah. Right, yeah, and it was not healthy eating. And there's 6 of us siblings, and some of them have problems and some don't, and there's a big difference in the way we eat. So don't take that just because it runs in your family. No. It has to do with what you're putting in your body. Yeah, I mean, there is some DNA, some genetic stuff, but it's also a lot of what you eat.
I just don't accept certain things.
Mm-hmm.
People go, I just know I'm going to get something. I'm like, don't accept that.
Don't plan on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know I'm going to get this. I say, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus, is what I say.
Uh-huh. Yeah, don't plan on being sick. Okay, so if anybody needs an accountability partner and you don't have a spouse that's going to do this, y'all talk amongst yourselves, do that. Anybody have any questions? What's that? No. All right. Because I encourage you, if you get frustrated, don't give up. It's really not that hard. The main thing at the beginning is just trying to figure out what counts, how many calories are in each item, and a few weeks into it, you'll get that. You'll learn it.
Right.
It'll be pretty simple.
And sometimes you just learn as much as you did it. I Googled everything. I was very strict about keeping it, and you really do lose a lot of weight, a lot more weight if you're journaling.
You do. Because this was
It's kind of holding me accountable.
This was my accountability partner, because my kids were trying to make me eat chocolate chip cookies, so they did not care. And they would say, Mom, you're not fat. I never did say I was fat. I just said I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I wanted to be in better shape. So everything had to be written in there.
Things without realizing it. I used to be bad about when the kids were little, oh, they didn't eat that. I'd, pop it in my mouth.
Uh-huh.
When you're cooking, you taste your food.
Yes.
But all that adds up.
It does.
Unconscious eating.
Unconscious, yes.